the group as a dancer, actually. And I wasn't singing then. They made me start rapping. I was a rapper, and then my mother put me, by the time I was in middle school, my mother put me in voice lessons because she didn't want me out there being fast. I was kind of sheltered, She didn't want me out on the streets. So every week I had a task. I had a certain song that I would have to learn. So our vocal coach's apartment was in Beyonce's parents' garage apartment over their house. And Miss Tina used to want to hear my progress every Monday. And I sang 7 Whole Days by Toni Braxton that week. And she asked if I can stay until Matthew got home from work. And he asked me to be a rehearsal on that Saturday at 12 o'clock. And that's how I
Wow, so that was the start. But since you really wanted to do acting and your mom had you take the vocal lessons, how were you feeling? Were you like, oh, I don't want to do this? As a kid, sometimes your parents kind of preaching something, you're like, I really don't want to do this.
You know what? My mother didn't pressure me to do it. Like me taking voice lessons, like to me it had nothing to do with the group. Like to me at the time, because I was a dancer, it had nothing to do with the group. I was like, okay, I'm a dancer, whatever. But once it came, it was a decision of mine to actually make, and I embraced it, and it's really one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life.
So was working with the Knowles, was that like the infamous Jackson family, or was it just, was it strict? I mean, what was it like really working for them?
You know what?
With them,
it was strict, but like when you're younger, you want a lot of freedom. You want to be able to do what you want to do. But we were disciplined to prepare for our career. Like now that I look back, like as far as all the work, like personal things are different, but like as far as the work, it's something that I'm so glad that we did, because we wouldn't have been able to be who we were if it weren't for all of that. If it weren't, LaTavia and myself, we've heard so many different stories. A lot of people wanted to be a feud between the members of the group, and it had nothing to do with the girls at all. Like, you get older, you hear things. So we just started like really just looking and seeing how things were ran, and we weren't pleased, with the way that things were ran. Not that we weren't pleased, but we felt like something else could, be happening. So we had to disaffirm Matthew's contract, in order to even almost be heard, because we were told at a certain amount of time that, we didn't even do enough in the group to have an opinion.
Wow.
So, so that's why we felt like we had to go beyond and not just want to call a meeting like, okay, well, we're feeling like this. It was never anything against the girls, but at the same time, it's almost like family. Like, even to talk to Beyonce and Kelly, it might have, I almost feel like it would have resulted the same way. But we had to disaffirm Matthew's contract to even be able to be heard. And all we wanted was to be able to bring another manager in. So we felt like someone had our best interests as well. We would never try to fire the manager for the group. In Matthew's words, that's ludicrous. But I actually saw Beyonce here in Atlanta in Little 5 Points. I was out shopping with my friends, and I ran into her. She was like way across the street, and my friend Jason was like, "Tavia, that's Beyonce, and I think that she can see you from way over there." She came all the way across the street, and we embraced and we hugged, and I told her how much I loved her and how much I was proud of her and that I missed her. And it was the same words in exchange. It's almost like you've been in a marriage and then seeing your ex-husband, and or wife for the first time in 4 years. So it was really, like, I wouldn't say that we were trying to avoid each other, but it might have been too emotional to run back into each other again. But I'm glad that at least I got to hug her once everything was over and just let her know, I love you. But Toya and myself knew exactly who the new girls were. And it's just amazing because at that point in time, Like, see, we were told that, you know, we were going to have some conversations and try to work everything out, you know. So when we see the world premiere video, we're like, okay, they're just going to, the song is on the radio, they're going to put it out. But we're sitting on the edge of the bed, and that's when it finally sank in. Okay, y'all are out the group. My book is about my journey to basically me reaching my nirvana. My book is about the things that I've gone through. Like, a lot of people will come and ask me and ask other people, you know, well, what have you been doing? You know, well, Toy's been doing this and da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Well, everything is all gravy, but my book is about me being transparent to my fans, to let them know that, yes, and I know a lot of people say this, but I'm a real person. The things that I've dealt with in the last 5 to 6 years are not what my fans would ever expect.